Okay. Our team has researched the disparity between men and women in the video game culture and industry, and we are here today to present our findings to you. Specifically, we will cover how many women play video games, how they are treated by existing in what's thought to be a male-dominated culture, and the kind of harassment and stereotypes they endure because of it. We will then talk about how women are depicted in video games, how often they are present, what roles they take, how sexualized they are compared to the male characters, and how they may have changed over the years. Lastly, we will cover women working in the video game industry, looking at the percentage of women in the industry versus men, their treatment, and the opportunities that they may or may not have there. In the top graph, we see a study that looked at how many male and female players used a N64 and a PlayStation in the 90s. We can see that there is a much higher percentage of male users for both consoles than women. From this, we can infer that gaming seems to have started out male-dominated. And while men still outnumber women in video games, in the bottom graph you can see how that gap has far receded. If you look specifically at 2014, you can see in that year it was recorded that women made up 48% of all gamers. Almost half of all gamers are women, and yet it is still perceived to be a male-dominated culture. Part of the reason for this, and the reason why men still hold that bit of majority, could potentially be attributed to video games being marketed mainly towards men, gamers having male protagonists more frequently than female protagonists, and that the female characters depicted in video games are often sexualized, featuring unrealistic proportions and/or impractical and revealing outfits.
Many women experience harassment when they do play, which could also be a reason that they play less. The gaming industry has been labeled as a boys' club before, which has deterred women from diving into the gaming scene. Women now make up 48% of gamers. Despite all the overall nearly equal percentages of gamers, women seem not to be as welcome in this area. 44% of internet users believe that the online gaming environment is more welcoming towards men. Despite a study testing the speeds at which men and women advance to higher levels in online multiplayer games, found no difference in ability between gamers. Table 7 shows that many women believe they are harassed more while playing video games. Despite being harassed online, the table also shows that there is a small percentage in which it discourages women to continue playing. As a girl gamer myself, I receive harassment often. Even within the last few weeks, I've personally experienced this. After logging in and saying hi on the chat, one of the chat members, whom I did not even know, commented, "Who the fuck is Christy? Why is she even in here? And who is the party leader? Kick her." No one in the chat said a thing. They all ignored his rude comments in the beginning and throughout the game. I didn't say anything myself after his first comments. He went 3-16, placing last in our game, being the reason that we lost. I said, "Good game," after we lost, and moments later he left the party and sent a message to one of my good guy friends, who later told me that he said if I was in the party he would not play. In graph 3, it is shown that 34.6% of players who witness the harassment do nothing or say nothing.
Okay. Female characters are almost always unnecessarily sexualized or play an unimportant role in the game. Women are represented less often than men are and are more likely to be in sexualized and marginalized roles. Female video game characters are depicted with body proportions much thinner than the US average woman, whereas male characters are depicted as the average body type. In casual games, defined here as games meant to be played for short periods of time, such as smartphone games, were much more likely to have main characters who were women, over half of all characters. One study states that box art that heavily features women or features no men at all is associated with lower sales because it threatens the masculine coding of video games, but that women who are featured non-prominently on male-centered box art has no effect on sales. Non-prominently featured women who are hypersexualized on box art increase sales. Male characters only present is 41.6%, and female characters only present is only 6.8%.
There is still most definitely a problem, but some game developers made an active effort to make a change. Lara Croft is a poster child for sexualization in games, but her design in the newer Tomb Raider games is more practical and looks much more like an average woman. There are also more games with main female characters who are strong and relatable without being sexualized. Naughty Dog has done well with The Last of Us and the Uncharted series.
Not only are characters sexualized, women gamers are sexualized as well. While some gamers do accentuate their curves and use it to gain support on Twitch, many casual gamers get lumped into the category as well. Women in gaming are often harassed or stereotyped into typical female gamer role. They are often seen as cam girls and titty streamers on Twitch and do not truly fit into the stereotypical male-dominated gamer world. Women often feel as though they need to use their bodies to keep their watchers on sites like Twitch. As stated in a Twitter post by a male streamer named Sodapoppin during a TwitchCon in 2017, he states, "The titty streamers are way more common now, and all I can think about is how much harder it probably is to be a legit girl streamer nowadays." To which Dajari, a female streamer, said, "The only deterrent for girls wanting to stream is the constant slut-shaming that gets thrown around regardless of what they do." Another commenter said, "Look, let's not delude ourselves. Girls purposely go out live with their tits basically out or in the bath or they're twerking for whatever reason to get more viewers. It is slut behavior. In my opinion, it deserves to be shamed. Put on some clothes and just make quality content for fuck's sake." The initial post caused a lot of controversy, and the streamer later said in an apology tweet saying, "I guess I should have elaborated on what is a legit girl streamer. I didn't mean to offend anybody by it. I just have limited characters to type. LOL."
Women currently only represent around 22% of video game developers, less women in almost all managerial roles. The number of women working in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields has gone down in recent years, with the percentage of female graduates in computer science at a 39-year low. Only 18% of computer science majors were women in 2012, a drastic drop from 37% in the mid-1980s. Men outnumber women 3-1 in computer-related jobs, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, and women make up only 16% of the workforce at large tech companies such as Facebook. In all categories, a significant amount of women stated that they believe that there is not equal treatment and opportunity in the game industry, whereas more men stated that there was workplace equality. This indicates a need to better educate men in diversity and inclusion programs to increase awareness and help support these programs and improve diversity in the industry. We could do a better job of educating people as to why it's important to get ideas and opinions from different people because everyone has a different experience, especially since there are still people that think diversity isn't important in the workplace. This is important and could help with making women's representation in video games more common and true to life. We could also do a better job at including more women in the STEM fields. They are not marketed towards women. Some don't even know about some of these fields. Some companies are trying to recruit more women and get them involved like the ones below. These disparities have led some industry experts to encourage young girls to play video games, which Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg has described as the gateway to computer science. The connection between gaming and interest in STEM fields has also caught the attention of President Barack Obama, who in 2010 launched the National STEM Video Game Challenge, citing research that shows that creating video games teaches students computer programming skills and involves math and problem-solving abilities, while at the same time promoting creative and artistic thinking.
There are almost as many women in gaming as men, so they should be treated as part of the gaming community and not be excluded. Games are an outlet that everybody should be able to enjoy. It's also important for everyone to be represented. Women want to feel strong and empowered when they play games just like everyone else. It is damaging for women, especially young girls, to see only females as sexualized background characters. One way to solve this is to get more women in the working industry. When people make art, they tend to relate it to their personal experience, which is why we are seeing more games made with men in mind. It is a male-dominated field. More women should be recruited, more scholarships should be given to women in tech, and more people should be educated on why diversity matters and why there needs to be equality in the workplace. We are excluding half of the population in STEM fields. Therefore, we are being held back in all fronts like creativity, research, discoveries, etc.